What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And today we're talking Ewoks.
Fun.
It's an
Yeah,
Ewok kind of day.
I don't know what constitutes an Ewok kind of day, but
Furry?
A furry day.
what makes today furry?
Ewoks.
Okay.
It's like what came first, the chicken or the egg? It's one of those things.
I was gonna say that was some very circular logic, but that's fine. Yep, that's an Ewok.
That's my Ewok.
Is that a Christmas ornament?
Yeah, it's a 35th anniversary Christmas ornament of Jedi.
Wow, we're 45 seconds in and you're already flexing, huh?
No, I was just saying it's an Ewok kind of day.
I think it was a flex.
No, for me,
He said it's my
always
Hallmark ornament flex.
yeah, that's what I'm flexing, my Christmas ornament. That I don't even put on a Christmas tree. I just have it on my desk. But
That's fine.
today, for me, it's always an Ewok day for me.
Okay. Well, yeah, we're going to be talking about Ewoks, Caravan of Courage, and Ewok Adventure. So, if Ewoks are your thing, if cheesy 80s films, including Ewoks, are your thing, you're in the right place today. But first, as usual, this is just a quick reminder that we are on the internet in various forms. One of those is Facebook. Another one is Instagram, both of which are at Empire Radio Podcast, at Empire Radio Podcast, all one word, all lowercase, just type it in like that. YouTube, Empire Radio, a Star Wars podcast. We live stream, I'll get to that in a second. We live stream these recordings in video form, and the YouTube is where to go after the fact if you miss a live stream to watch all of these episodes. Not live, but it's about as close to being live as you can get without just listening to the audio. And then, like I mentioned, Twitch. We do live stream these on twitch.tv/Empire Radio. 99% of the time, it's Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. And we try to stay as on time as we possibly can. Sometimes we have technical difficulties, so sometimes it doesn't happen. But the goal is those times, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. And last but surely not least, we have our own Discord server that you can join by going to a pinned post on our Facebook account and the link in our Instagram bio. It's a lot of fun. We have like 40-something people now, give or take. And the conversations are very fun. It spans everything from Star Trek to the expanded universe to memes. Lots and lots of
Star Trek
memes.
post the other day.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
It was
You want to
it was
make
there.
comments about that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't
Jeremiah
see
thought
it.
it'd be funny to make a Star Trek channel in our Discord, and it's being used more than I like it to be. But that's not the point. Anyways, so go join the Discord. If you're not going to do anything out of all of those things that I mentioned, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, like if you're not going to, catch any of those things, join the Discord. You're going to want to join the Discord. That's where all the jokes come from. That's where all the memes are happening. That's where all of the inside conversations are happening. And that's where we're going to announce things before we announce them publicly. So definitely go join the party over there. Speaking of the Discord, we have a member. Some of you might know him. He's actually been on the podcast. His name is Tanner. And he's not in the stream right now like he normally is. And that is because he's at Barnes & Noble looking for the Revan novel, the Expanded Universe Revan novel.
Good man.
Which, if you follow us on Instagram, was in our Instagram story on Friday.
Yeah.
Which is actually, come to find out, what spurred his interest in getting it. So it's all connected.
You're
It's a
doing
small
good
world.
things over there on Instagram.
I'm trying.
I'm trying to get people to spend money on toys. You're trying to make them buy EU books. We all have our purpose.
Yeah.
I'm just happy people are using it. So.
Yeah. Same. So yeah, and also speaking of Discord, one of the things, if you're a new listener, first of all, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening or watching or consuming the podcast in whatever form you choose to. We really, really appreciate it. But if you are new, we have we've had a streak of voicemails
Yep.
the last like 6 weeks now, isn't it? Like 5 or 6 weeks.
Something like that.
Yeah, and you can submit a voicemail if you want to. They're limited to 1 minute, but you can submit a voicemail by going to the link below your podcast audio browser. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever you listen to it on. There's a link down there that you can click on, and you can leave us an actual voicemail. And today we have one from a Discord member who is very active. We talk with him all the time. Mithron Nuru, or Michael, as that's his actual name. So we have a voicemail from him, and we're gonna listen to that now. So here we go.
Hey, Empire Radio. My name is Michael, otherwise known as Mithron Nuru in the Discord chat.
Hey, Michael.
I really love what y'all do. I love the podcast and everything. A lot of people make fun of me because of how much I like Star Wars. I have a massive book collection. So whenever I joined it, I told my friends, like, these are my people. Like, this is what I like. So yeah, since a lot of my Star Wars interests focus around the books and legends and canon and all that, I had a question to ask. If you could switch the roles of live action versus books or EU stuff to make books live action and the films books, would you switch it? And if so, why? And if you wouldn't switch it, then why not? Yeah, thanks for all that y'all do. It's a lot of fun listening to the podcast, and keep it up. Thanks.
Yeah, so 2 things, Michael. 1, don't ever let anyone call you weird for liking Star Wars.
For real. They're not good friends.
Yeah, they're not your actual friends.
Dang, that's
Actually-
so
actually
aggressive.
don't.
That's
Actually
so
don't.
aggressive.
This is not like my actual advice. I'm just trying to be funny, but just know you're accepted here. It's a safe place, and we really enjoy your love for Star Wars. Second thing that I wanted to say was, I believe he's posted a picture of his book collection.
Yeah, he
in
did.
Discord.
I think
It's
this
super
after
impressive.
yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, like I have maybe like 70% of those books. He's got a lot more books than I do.
70% still a lot.
I mean, I have
The
a lot of
question
books.
is, does he have more books or does Drew have more toys?
I think Drew has
I
more
definitely have more
toys.
toys, but
Yeah.
in his defense, his collection looks really good, and
Yeah.
I don't know, you can't compare a toy collection to a book collection because
Yeah.
they're like different. But his book collection I was impressed. I was like,
Yeah.
that was dope. Like, I only, like you guys know, I tried not to get into the EU too much. I have a couple
Yeah.
EU books. I'm being respectful, Jeremiah. Stop laughing. But and I have read EU books, but just to have that many books of EU and canon, it looked like he almost had all the canon ones as well.
Yeah. I mean, to be
Like-
fair, there aren't that many canon
There-
novels out there. There's like 20.
No, really? There's way more than that.
Oh, I
Well,
don't really. There's only certain like canon books that I really go
Yeah.
after.
Well,
like
and like,
Thrawn.
yeah, like you get all the Thrawn ones. I get all the Thrawn ones. But like, he has some that I'm like, I didn't even know people read that one. Like,
Yeah.
not to say that it's a bad book. Just like I didn't have an interest in it, but now I kind of do because of his collection looks so amazing. So props to Michael.
Yeah, Michael, to answer your question, though, I would 100% swap the movies with the books.
All the movies, or just okay?
No. I would, if I could bring like 2 things, if I had to limit myself to one thing, just a single thing, it would be scrapping 7, 8, 9 and bringing in the Thrawn trilogy from Expanding Universe.
See, I don't think his question was about replacing. It was switching. Like, the stuff would still be canon, but you would just make it a book, and then bring in the EU.
I would still do that.
Oh, okay.
I would still do it. Like, because I mean, the Star Wars novels, for the novelizations of the movies, like the novelization of Revenge of the Sith is better than the movie. So like, I would argue that I would do that. I would do that in a heartbeat. As a whole, I would, if I had to swap the movies as we have them now for the books, the expanded universe book, like the whole story, I'd swap them right now.
I would too, because the books are better. Like I read like the Rise of Skywalker, the book,
Yeah.
and that was way better than the movie, like hands down. It made me appreciate the movie a lot more. So even if they kept the original, right, and they still swapped out, guaranteed Jedi is probably, or not Jedi, Last Jedi is probably better as a book than it is the actual movie, because they get into so much detail about characters that I mean, you can't get in within 2 hour limit, right? And that and like I feel like they kind of are doing that in a sense with like Mando, like they're tying in so much stuff about Boba and the Boba book that's about to come out that they know they couldn't get in a 2 hour segment as a movie, but as a TV show, live action, long form TV show, they can do more. And so for me, I feel like they kind of are trying to get into that. And I wasn't really thinking about this question because I didn't know it until right now. But I have been thinking about this, like, the reason why Disney got rid of a lot of the EU stuff is to make more money.
Oh, for sure.
And, like, that's, like, the main goal, because a lot of the stuff that they're pulling is actually EU stuff, and they're just tying in a little bit of what they want. But, like, the Thrawn stuff, like, they redid the whole Thrawn trilogy to also make money on that, too. And
they technically they didn't remake it.
They just added. It's a different
completely different time period. Yeah.
But they're saying it's like the Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean? Like they're just. It seems like a lot of the stuff that they have canceled is because they want to make more money on it, and it's.
I mean that is the reason why. I mean, like if you take over a publishing empire that already has thousands of years worth of stories, or at least hundreds of years worth of stories that are already written, it's like, well, what do you have to add? You know, like what stories can you tell? I mean, sure, there's room to grow even with that stuff, but it's like you can't make money off of that, so they have to scrap it to say, you know, we're doing this to make sure none of the stuff that we're doing conflicts with, you know, any of the lore.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, it's all about money.
Jeremiah?
I don't know enough about the books to give an educated answer.
That's fair.
I would say the only, like, well, other than, like, you know, like the Darth Bane stuff, like way back when, like I've said that on the podcast, like I want to see like that stuff from thousands of years ago made into like live action stuff, which would be cool. And I've also mentioned like I think the story of the Yuzong Fong is an interesting concept.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be cool to see that in live action. But other than that, I don't really have much of a educated guess.
That's fair.
I'd be interested to see, Jeremiah, what you think about, and this is not a joke. I'd be interested to see what you think about
That's what he said.
A New Hope as a novel.
So
because there's a lot of stuff because the original trilogy was based on the scripts and not the final versions of the movies that were produced. There's a lot of extra stuff. I mean, in the same way that like Rise of Skywalker was, but like there's a lot of extra stuff, including like the descriptions of R2-D2 and C-3PO that are different, that are like actually based off of Ralph McQuarrie's artwork instead of the actual movie. So I'm wondering if you had more context, or like you just you were able to read a different perspective, if you would enjoy it more. So
I don't know. I'll just read the first half of that book and see if it.
Yeah, that's done. That's all we ask. Yeah.
I mean, so those are considered still canon, right?
Yeah.
But they don't reprint them.
No, they do.
They do.
They actually had. So Barnes and Noble has like you know how they have like classic stories, and they make them like in like the super artistic like metallic hardcover versions that are larger. They look more like classic
big ones.
Books. Yes. They have the trilogy that way. They also have the Han Solo trilogy, the Expanded Universe trilogy.
Is that canon?
The Expanded Universe trilogy.
Oh,
So they have both of those as those versions. So they still print those. They also print. I actually just saw this on Friday when I was in Barnes and Noble. They print a smaller version of the original trilogy. It's still like really thick, but it's a smaller book, and it's got the AT-AT.
Oh, okay. It's the
Skywalker
one that
underneath
you saw. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I saw
A New Hope.
in the story. Yeah, so that they still print it for sure. Now getting them separately, like individual books, that would probably be more difficult. But I do know that they still publish them as like a trilogy.
Yeah, because I've been thinking about reading like the original 3, right? Like I do want to read those and see the difference because like you guys, everyone knows this if you're a longtime listener, but the original trilogy is still my favorite out of pretty much all Star Wars, and
Yeah.
I would like to read more into that. So maybe I should read those because I've not read those ones yet.
Yeah, they're good. My wife actually bought me the fancy. I guess they're called. I would say that they're the fancy, like trilogy versions. She got me that one time, and I started reading it. And I read it before I knew. I had a ton of context of like the way R2-D2 looked. He looked more like Chopper, and like some of the deleted scenes. And
The
stuff.
gray
So I
one,
was like,
right? Wasn't he
What?
gray?
He was. I mean, depending on the light, sure.
Oh, because they recently just dropped a Ralph McQuarrie's art of C-3PO and R2-D2, and R2-D2 is like all gray with like the chopper arms and.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So that's why I was wondering.
In that painting, yeah, he's just gray. Yeah, but like I remember reading A New Hope, and I was kind of confused because I was like, this isn't the movie. It's the movie, but it's like this isn't the same exact version. So
Gotcha.
anyways, so Michael, thank you for that discussion. We always love hearing from our listeners. So
Yes.
we don't have a voicemail currently for next week.
You
So
still
now
got
is
time.
the time. Now's the
got
time.
And
Yeah.
thing is, you get a little extra time with this one because we're
Well, if you're
technically
watching
recording
live,
this 2 days early, but
if you're watching
Yeah.
live. Yeah.
but if we still got time for the next episode, so be the person that sends it. Don't think someone else is gonna do it. Do it
Yeah.
yourself.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
And
No question is too stupid.
true.
No. Yep.
Yep.
I stand by that statement.
Stand by
actually,
that.
Now that I've thought about it.
no
for
question
this-
is stupid, but some can be inappropriate. So ask
yeah.
appropriate questions.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's
Remember, this is enjoyed by all ages, so keep that in mind. But especially if it's about the EU, ask away.
Oh gosh.
Real quick, Jeremiah kind of mentioned it, but this is another reason why you guys should join the Discord. Due to scheduling, we actually are recording this episode live on Sunday and not Tuesday.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that. And if you're just a podcast listener, it's gonna drop Tuesday. You're not even gonna know the difference. But
Right.
if you do want to catch the live stream, sometimes we may have scheduling issues. We haven't
Yeah.
done it. Actually, this is our first big scheduling issue. So
Yeah.
we are recording it a couple days early, and only the Discord actually knows about it. And I mean, we did post it on our social a little bit on Facebook, but just get connected with us, you guys. Join Discord. It's not hard. You can just lurk. Like, you don't have to be super connected if you don't want to be.
Just
But
lurk.
I
That's
mean,
what Drew does.
that's
That's actually what.
Yeah.
No,
I
mean you.
yeah.
You respond to stuff every once in a while, but like for the most part, it's
most of the
it's-
time I do lurk.
It's me and Jeremiah.
Yeah. And so I just encourage people to get connected with the Discord. Even if you're a little don't want to, just for news updates, essentially, because
Yeah.
they're gonna know before anyone else.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, and I know it's hard to believe, but we're adults and we have lives outside of the podcast. Unfortunately, this isn't paying
Some
our
more
bills
than
yet.
others.
Yeah, I mean, so sometimes things happen and we have to change the schedule.
Yeah.
So for those of you that are watching right now, Twitch on live, thank you so much for just like taking a just like a 180-degree turn and checking a live stream out in the middle of your Sunday afternoon. And for everyone else, still, thank you for listening. This is going to be, I think, it's going to be something.
It's
based on the material.
we get introduced to Jeremiah, and it's gonna be good.
What?
Jeremiah's canon appearance.
Oh,
Or
yes,
not
yeah.
canon appearance. I don't know if
Yeah.
this is canon. Not canon.
So since we're already kind of starting to talk about it, why don't we just fly on over and get down into the meat and potatoes of this episode?
I like broccoli more than potatoes.
That's
Meat and broccoli.
I like broccoli.
more than potatoes though.
But like, what kind
Yeah.
of potatoes? Though? Like
Just
a baked
potatoes in
potato
general
is
are better
is
than-
just
No.
terrible. But,
Okay.
Like, if it's French fries, then
You don't like a
obviously a
baked-
French.
Wait, you don't like baked potatoes?
More than like
I'd rather have potatoes far many other ways than a baked potato.
Wow.
And last time I had a baked potato was probably summer 2012.
that's a well, okay, but why summer
Maybe-
2012?
I'm gonna
What
say
was that
something
date?
that could be a little controversial, but maybe it's because people don't know how to make them in certain parts
You-
of the country.
Bake a potato.
No.
That's how you make them. You put it in the wrap it in foil, put it in the
Let me tell you
oven.
something. It's
Let it
the
sit
same
for like
thing.
6 hours in the oven 'cause that's how long it takes to make a
Listen,
baked potato.
it's the same thing. That's like people are just like, yeah, just to make sweet tea, you just take some tea and you just put some sweetener in it. It's not
That's
the
not
same.
how you do it?
No,
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 you-
no. That's not how you do it.
Jeremiah, we're not going there right now. Okay, I will
And-
fight.
Andrew,
For
I
sweet tea.
agree with you because
I've never had sweet
I
tea
think-
in my life.
Yeah, well, that's why
What?
you just made that comment because
What?
you
I'm
you-
from the north. Why would I have
That's
sweet
fair.
tea?
Okay,
the only
well-
sweet tea I know of is McDonald's sweet tea. I'm pretty sure it's not the same thing.
It's like a
Well-
close fifth place to the real thing.
yeah,
Fifth or
it's
sixth.
as close as Minnesota gets for sweet tea.
Yeah.
Besides,
actually, Chick-fil-A-
Chick-fil-A, just go to Chick-fil-A
Yeah, just go to Chick-fil-A.
or
and get sweet tea
Cane's.
there.
Cane's has decent
Ooh,
sweet tea.
Cane's
Actually,
does have decent sweet tea. Yeah, I forgot about
I
that.
think I personally like Chick-fil-A more, but
What goes into sweet tea exactly? It makes it like what is it?
it's not it's
it's the
not
way
about
it's made.
correct.
Okay,
It's
Andrew, you always forget that I'm originally from the South, so I
Yeah.
understand. My family's from the South. I literally have a sweet tea pan that has been passed down since I think my grandpa's grandpa, and I have it, and it's
Wow.
really ugly and gross, and it's stained, but it's because that's how
get
you
all
make
the-
sweet tea,
that's
dude. You
that's
get
how
the
you get all the goodness.
the goodness out of
Yeah,
that.
it's
So
like the people
yeah.
here that will make bacon, and then they take the bacon grease and they make green
pancakes or pink.
or that. Yeah, actually. Anyways, that's not what we're here for. You came here for Ewoks, and that's what Jeremiah is like, just ready to kill us both. It's fine. So today we're talking about Caravan of Courage, an Ewok adventure. So here's a surprise for everyone. Within the next 2 days, I'm hoping by the end of tonight,
Which
but-
is Sunday.
which is Sunday, but we will
But
have
if
to
you're
see.
listening to the podcast, it's Tuesday.
Yeah. I'm hoping that at some point between Sunday the 11th and Tuesday the 13th, that there will be a YouTube video that is posted where Drew, Jeremiah, and I actually did commentary. We watched this together at Jeremiah's house because I was in town for Easter weekend. We have a vlog for that. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But we actually did commentary for this movie. And so I got to figure it out, but it's going to have a timestamp. So if you want to go in, hit play, and watch the movie, you can actually hear our commentary real time. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So we'll hit on some of the thoughts that we hit on during the commentary today in the podcast. But if you want to catch our reactions in the moment, that's going to be the way to do it. So stay tuned. Stay tuned on our YouTube channel for that. But Caravan of Courage, what a wild ride this is. So here's some backstory on this. So it was made in 1984. It's a made-for-TV movie directed by John Cordy from a script by Bob Corral and George Lucas.
Ooh.
The script by Bob
maker.
Corral, sorry, and the story by George Lucas. Focuses on a family of humans who have been shipwrecked on the forest moon of Endor, the same Endor from Return of the Jedi. After the parents are kidnapped by the Gorax, which we'll get into in a little bit, their children team up with the Ewoks in a quest to rescue them. The film was followed by 1985's Ewoks: The Battle for Endor, which we haven't watched yet, but we're going to get there. So the gist of the story, there's a family of humans. The mother is named Caravan. It's like Catherine without the H. Caravan. Jeremiah's first non-canon appearance, Jeremit. So
solid name.
That's what we're going to start calling Jeremiah, is Jeremit.
No, they're not.
And then the two children who are the two main characters, Sindel, which is a young girl, very young girl, and Mace. No relation to Windu.
That we know of.
But
God, I hope not.
A young guy with like the classic like 80s like bowl skater haircut. It's like a little bit longer. Kind of looks like a little bit like Luke. So the gist of this story is they're in a spaceship of some kind, starfighter, starship, whatever you want to call it, and they crash on Endor. Fun fact, some of the pieces used for the wreckage were actually parts from the snow speeders from The Empire Strikes Back.
Fun.
But they crash land, and then immediately you see the parents get separated from the kids because they're looking for them. They can't find the kids, and this monster comes through and chases them, and the parents pretty much disappear. And then the rest of the story is the kids trying to get their parents back, and eventually free them after they find out what's going on.
Spoilers.
Well, they try to free them. I didn't say if it actually worked.
Oh, my bad.
You just gave it away.
I spoiled it.
So
my bad.
So they team up with Wicket, the OG Ewok, the main man himself, and some other Ewoks. And
did we ever determine if the events of this took place before or after Return of the Jedi?
I never determined it, but I'm on Wikipedia right now, and I can... Maybe. Timeline 3 ABY. So it's before Return of the Jedi.
Is this a year before?
Yes. Fun fact, if you're Jeremiah, this actually never happened. Because it's not canon.
Well, it's fun fact for everybody, it's not canon.
Yeah, it's not canon. But this was a I mean, it came out after Return of the Jedi. This is like, all right, George, we don't have any stories to tell yet.
How do we make more money?
Yeah, it's like the prequels didn't come out until, 98 or 96? 99. And so it was like, all right, how do we make money? Oh, let's capitalize the small furry bear deal. Because, like, Care Bears were popular at this time. So it's
true.
Like, let's just milk the bears for all that they're worth. Put some kids in it. It'll be a fun story.
And this is the first time they used the word Ewok because Ewok
correct.
Was never mentioned in Return of the Jedi. So
correct. And it's the first time, if you watch with subtitles, which I would recommend for everything Star Wars related, because there's always stuff that you might not catch if you don't. It's the first time that their language is called Ewokese.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a lot of... and they don't translate it, by the way. This is like kind of similar to the Star Wars holiday special in the fact that like there's, even with subtitles, there's no translation. Like when they choose to put what the Ewoks are saying in subtitles is literally like
it's a holiday special.
They just type out yub nub. Like there's no translation. So it's kind of like the Wookiees talking in the holiday special, where you kind of have to figure out what's going on by them waving their hands and.
There's the big franchise that actually still does this. It's called the Minions, and it's so annoying. But anyways, yeah. Like the Minion movie doesn't talk. They don't talk. They don't say anything.
Yeah. I mean, they do. You just can't understand it.
Yeah, and
they say some English words.
Yeah. I mean, it's like watching Japanese anime without subtitles. It's like you kind of know what's going on.
Yeah, but why would you do that?
I mean, I don't know. if you're fluent in Japanese, which I hope to be one day,
that would be dope.
So speaking of dope, Warwick Davis reprised his role as Wicket in this movie, the OG Ewok himself. So he makes an appearance in this movie by playing Wicket. So that's kind of the general gist of the story. If we go into some more detail,
Is this the first time that they name Wicked as Wicked too?
I don't know actually.
Because
I don't remember
the
if
girl
he's
actually
ever-
says Wicked, and so does a boy.
Yeah, I mean, they name him for sure out loud in this movie.
But I don't think they did in Jedi.
No,
Do we know his name was Wicket in Jedi? No.
I think merchandising.
Well, obviously they
Did
said
that. I mean,
Ewok,
it's like-
but didn't they do that
yeah.
in Ewok toys? Like the toy said Ewok on it,
Yeah,
so it's like
Yeah,
the
so,
same.
like-
But I'm saying like,
I don't think he was ever named in Return of the Jedi. No,
yeah,
out loud, no.
cool.
But I think at this point, I mean, it's kind of smart because if they do name Wicket in this movie, it's like all of a sudden you have a resurgence of like kids wanting to buy Wicket toys, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's an association, like an auditory association, like, oh, that's his name, and they're walking down like a Walmart toy aisle, and all of a sudden they see Wicket,
Or like
and
a
it's
Wicked
oh.
plushie, like that's
Yeah,
what they
yeah,
want.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty ingenious. But let's just kind of take a 30,000-foot summary view. So the ship crashes. The kids get separated from their parents. You see this monster right away. You don't really get a good view of what he is, but he like even in the darkness on Endor in the midst of the trees, he kind of looks like a minotaur to me. But anyways, he chases the parents off. They get separated. So here's the interesting thing. So then we get introduced to the first Ewok characters. So I'm reading off of Wikipedia now just to make things easier. In an Ewok village, 2 of Deej Warwick's children, Weechi and Whittle, have also gone missing. He uses a hang glider to search the forest. In the process, he sees an object on the forest floor that is reflecting the light. He locates the missing Ewok children, and on the way back, they investigate the shining object. The object is the ship, inside of which they find the human child Sindel, who is she's like in a cupboard. She's like hiding in a cupboard. Outside, her brother Mace attacks one of the Ewoks and enters the Star Cruiser wreck, basically holding the Ewok hostage, where he threatens the other Ewoks, fearing that they are a threat and that they may have their parents. The Ewoks subdue him and carry him back to their village on a stretcher with Sindel in tow. So it's the same vibe as Return of the Jedi. Like, they carry him back almost the same way.
Yeah, as they do like Han and Luke.
Yep. When they reach the village, Sindel becomes sick. Mace asks the Ewoks for food, thinking that it will help her. They instead give Sindel some of their medicine. However, it isn't enough to restore her health, and the Ewoks don't have any more. So Mace goes to find a special tree that contains the medical fluid. He reaches inside the tree and is attacked by a Temptor, which is like a.
Oh,
it's
that's
just a
what
big
they
slug.
named it. It's like
Yeah.
a weird. Okay,
Yeah.
you gotta.
Well, it's not.
This boy
though.
looked inside a
It's-
hole in a
but
tree.
Listen. It's not though, because it used a lure.
Oh yeah,
Remember?
it used something to pull him in. Like,
Yeah, it used a smaller appendage to get his attention, and then he put his hand in, and then the thing was huge. It's
yeah,
like a big tree
but
slug.
also
So
if
this
you-
kind of makes sense.
if you're in the wilderness, this is to any listener who likes to go on a hike. Don't put your hand in a hole. Just don't put your hand in holes. Like, why is that a thing?
Yeah, that's
Jeremiah, I'm looking at you. Don't put your hand in a tree.
I don't go outside. Are you
Oh, that's
kidding
true.
me?
You don't go
that's
outside.
true, yeah. Yeah.
Just don't put your
So-
hand in a hole.
He gets his hand fricked, even though there's no blood at all. It's just, or his sleeve is ripped. After a struggle, he manages to pull his hand out, and with the help of the Ewoks, they bring the fluid back to Sindel. And after the Ewoks, offer to use some of the medicine to heal Mace's wound from the tree incident. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of like him being a super moody teenager and being really pessimistic, and her like falling in love with the Ewoks and seeing the good in them because she's like a 6 or 7 year old girl in this.
Yeah.
And like Mace, I would imagine is like 14 or 15.
She kind of reminds me of Drew Barrymore's character from E.T.
Oh,
Yeah. That's a good
Same
association.
age, probably, and then
Yeah.
just became best friends.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, she loves the Ewoks, and
Yeah.
Mace is like, for the first like half of this movie, is like, we just need to find Dad, find Mom. Like get out, just leave the bears behind. We just got to go find Mom and Dad. Like that's the whole thing. That's his like whole mood for the first.
doesn't
part.
he calls them bears too? I'm pretty sure.
He calls them a lot of things. He calls them like. What was the thing when we were all three of us when we were watching it? We were like, what the heck? It was like he says like
That
we
was
need
like
to get
all of
away
it.
from these walking hairbrushes or something like
Oh
that.
yeah,
I was like, dude, what?
that's
Who
what
are
it was,
you?
a hairbrush.
What an 80s insult. What an 80s style insult. So yeah, anyways, that's the first little chunk of the movie. It is really cool to see the Ewok hang glider in action in a much more like intentional way, because like we kind of see it in Return of the Jedi, but like there's some like explicit shots, just like obviously there's a bear on a hang glider in the air, and they focus on him, and like it's just all like right in your face. So
Yeah.
it's cool to see that. His children arguing is really funny because it's just two small bears fighting one another. So I mean, if you have any sort of an imagination, what you're imagining is probably exactly what you would see. So yeah, the next little chunk. This is the adventure in the forest. The next morning, Sindel is doing better. She and Wicket, another of Deej's sons, get to know each other while sitting around a table. She explains to Wicket that she and her family were in a ship that crashed. Mace is skeptical of the Ewoks and tells Sindel that they will be leaving the village when he gets his blaster back, because they took his blaster from him when they brought him in. That night, while the Ewoks are asleep, Mace wakes up Sindel and retrieves his blaster. They leave the village and make their way into the forest. Sindel insists that they are lost and asks to rest. Mace builds a fire and admits he too misses their parents and regrets some of his past behavior around them. Sindel worries that their parents are dead, but Mace is convinced they're not. Soon they hear a boar wolf approaching and take off running. Mace shoots at the boar wolf. They take refuge in a hollow tree trunk, which the wolf tries and fails to get through. The next morning, the children are awakened to the Ewoks fighting the boar wolf with spears. Wicket shoots a poison dart into the beast, which subdues it.
They're awakened by Wicket's butt almost in the tree trunk.
Yeah, we'll get there in just a second. On the boar wolf, they find Jeremit's life monitor, which indicates that their parents are still alive. Mace asks the Ewoks for help in determining where the boar wolf came from. Deej points him to Logray, the village shaman. So here's a few things about this. One, the village shaman is one of the same Ewoks from Return of the Jedi.
It's the
like speckled
the
gray
one. Yeah. Well, no, it's more black with like white stripes. Kind
Sure.
of.
Yeah, I mean, you'd recognize him.
Yeah. He's like one of the main ones. They actually recently dropped a Black Series figure of him. If you guys want to know.
Did you get it, or
No, I didn't get it. I'm just saying, so like
you
can look
should
it up.
now.
No, I'm good.
Okay. So yeah, the boar wolf is completely stop motion. So that's something to keep in mind.
Which I love that. Personally.
Yeah, Drew. When you go listen to the commentary, Drew's like, guys, I just love everything about this scene. This is awesome.
No, what does he say all the time? He was saying, I don't hate this.
Yeah.
He's like, guys, I really don't hate this.
Well, because like up to this point,
Well, just say you like it.
I didn't like a lot of it, but like when it started like becoming Okay, because what bothered me a lot in the beginning was all these normal creatures, like a horse, goats, chickens.
yeah.
Like,
Okay.
it bothered me a lot, okay? There was,
Okay,
like,
so-
normal farm animals, apparently, on Endor, if you guys didn't know. And
So the Ewoks have in their villages, they have like farm animals. They have goats and horses and stuff, or mini horses, I would say.
yeah.
But they have like animals, and Drew was not a fan.
Was not.
He's like, this is so stupid. They don't. Why would they have real animals in space?
Yeah,
I'm like,
so.
well, it's because it was a made-to-TV movie, and they didn't have the budget for
Yeah.
any extra creature effects.
So
But,
that
who
bothered me,
knows?
but then once I started seeing still motion alien-like creatures, I was excited. So that's probably why I was saying I didn't hate it.
That's fair.
It felt like
Yeah.
Star Wars, and I would say, like,
It did
A
feel like
little
Star
bit.
Wars.
but
'Cause the
before that
Tauntauns
did
were the
not.
same.
Yeah, before that it didn't feel like Star Wars at all. I felt like I was watching this really annoying kid with Ewoks and goats. Like, it was weird.
It's kind of funny because like it kind of feels like an episode of Star Trek for a little bit. Like, I mean, think about it. Before you see the Ewoks for the first few minutes, it kind of feels like something else entirely.
yeah,
does.
it does.
Based on the the costumes and like they obviously like didn't want to completely copy the look from the original trilogy.
Or they
So,
just
like,
didn't
they're-
have the budget to copy
Yeah.
the original look.
Anyways, so it's the boar wolf thing was this huge like it's like a wolf with like a boar's face on it.
Yeah.
That's the only way I know how to describe it. Big stop motion creature. They hide in the tree trunk. They're actually woken up, like Drew said, the next morning because Wicket gets thrown. His butt like comes through
It's so
the hole in the
weird.
tree trunk because they're fighting. The Ewoks are fighting the boar wolf, and then it just so happens to be right outside the tree that the kids are in, and so they meet up, like the summary said, and then they go back to the village and go to the shaman. All right. Keep in mind, like all of the action is very cheesy. Also, there's some slapstick elements to it, where like they're sure the Ewoks are some of the main characters, but they're also used as the comic relief in like a really cheesy way too.
Yeah.
So, anyways, okay, so the next section, recruiting local allies. In Logray's hut, Logray uses his crystal image spinner, which looks like a dreidel, a big dreidel, to discover the location of the Tawani parents who are being held in a cage by the Gorax. Sindel asks Deej for help, but he initially refuses, in the knowledge that Jeremit and Katerin are being held in a place that no Ewok has ever returned from. Deej thinks it over and decides to help the children. That night, Deej's wife, Shodu, looks mournfully at her family, fearing that she may never see them again. The next day, all of the village helps prepare for the journey. Oh, I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. Sorry about that. The next day, all of the village helps prepare for the journey. Logray calls the group to participate in a ceremony in which they are each given one of the sacred tokens of the legendary Ewok warriors. Deej, the leader of the group, is given the white wings of hope. Weechi, the eldest son, is given the red wings of courage. Wicket is given a magic walking stick. Whittle is given the blue wings of strength. Sindel is given the candle of pure light. And Mace is given a rock. A crystal and an ivory tooth are brought along to give to other Ewoks who they must find to join them in their quest. Mace dismisses the rock and throws it aside, but Wicket picks it up behind him. So when it talks about the different colored wings, it's literally a headband with the wings, like feather wings sticking off the back in kind of a tribal fashion. Yeah, so it's kind of strange, even in terms of Star Wars. Like strange, like they're just given these objects. Like Wicket just gets a supposedly magic walking stick.
Yeah.
It's so 80s. It's like it's if you take it in context of the time period, it makes total sense. It's like, here's a magic candle, here's a magic walking stick, and it's like, who gives a candle? As like a tool. Like, hey, you're going on a life-threatening adventure. As a part of the caravan of courage, here's a candle. Anyways, that's all I have to say about that part. Okay.
But she didn't throw her candle on the ground.
No, I mean, to be fair though, it's like, hey, let me get the crystal or the tooth or something, and they're like, no, you get a rock. You get a rock. So, I mean, I'd be kind of mad.
I'd be more mad if I got a candle, personally.
That's fair. At least you can throw the rock.
Yeah.
I mean, you can set a fire with the candle.
If you start the candle,
what?
You have to light.
Wasn't the candle always lit though?
No, it wasn't lit when they gave it to her.
No. Yeah.
It's just later you find out it never burns out.
Yeah,
that's the special...
it never the wick or the wick never gets lower or whatever.
The wicket never gets. What did you say?
The wick, the candle wick.
John Wick.
Okay.
All right. So moving on. The next section is called the Rescue Expedition. The Warwick family says their goodbyes. Okay, can we make note that Wicket's family is named after the actor who played Wicket?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Warwick Davis.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. The Warwick family says their goodbyes. Logray blesses the group, and they depart on their quest. Sindel and Wicket ride in a compartment atop a horse, while the rest of the group either rides a horse or walks. Okay, so they have this thing. It's like a grass tree branch hut.
On top of a horse.
On top of a horse. It's like I'm not joking. It's big enough for a small child and Wicket.
Well, no. Also,
and they wanted Mace to.
They wanted Mace to get in there.
Yeah, they were like, "You're a kid," and he's like, "No, I'm not. I'm a man.
I can walk.
I'm an angsty man.
Where's my horse?
Where's my horse? Give me my blaster." That's what he sounds like.
He was actually asking for his blaster because they didn't want to give it to him.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah.
So, So, anyways, this hut thing, it's big enough for 3 people to sit in comfortably, and it's on top of like the one regular sized horse.
Yeah.
All of the rest of the horses are actual mini horses because they have to have something proportional for the Ewoks, and then this one, it's like a full size horse carrying a hut on it. And this was the practical effect. This wasn't stop motion, so they had a horse.
It was a giant thing on it
with this hut, this grass tree branch looking hut on it. Anyways.
Well, and to be fair though, we don't know if all the visual of inside the hut could have been like.
Oh, I don't think they had.
I don't think they're actually on it.
Yeah,
but it made it look like they were on this giant hut on top of a horse walking around instead of actually having like a wagon.
Yeah, that would be way too easy.
Duh, it's not Star Wars enough.
Yeah. Okay, so as they're walking, a tree suddenly falls behind Mace. He fears for Sindel, but quickly discovers that she is all right. Okay. Chukka Trock, who is another Ewok, appears with an axe, and Deej offers him the ivory tooth to go with them. Mace protests and challenges Chukka Trock to an axe-throwing contest to prove his worth as a warrior. How angsty of him. This earns Mace's respect, and he asks Chukka Trock to join them. Okay, so in this axe-throwing challenge, he throws his axe and, like, nails a target, bullseyes a target. But then this Ewok, Chukka Trock, throws his axe and nails the handle of Mace's axe. So he's even better at throwing axes. So Mace is like, I guess by my 15-year-old standards, you're pretty cool. So you can join. Yeah,
we could be friends now. That's what he said.
We could be friends. So
and by the way, Andrew, you sound cooler than the actual actor. I just want to give you that.
Oh, thank you. I would hope so. Because
they're a remake, Caravan of Courage. Andrew, you better
put me in, coach.
We know who Jeremiah is going to be already.
Yep.
So.
No. Jeremiah, and then Drew, you can be.
Can I be Chuck a Truck?
Well, based
No,
on
you
your
can be
the
Wicked.
background, Drew is the little girl.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah.
So-
I don't approve of this background. But anyways.
So in typical Empire Radio fashion, for the stream, I have the thumbnail of our YouTube video as my background, and I just put my face on Mace's face. I don't
Kinda spot
want
on.
to be Mace. Well, then Drew's on Sindel, and then I made sure to put Jeremiah on top of Jeremit's face.
Yeah.
I was originally going to put you on Wicket's face, but then I was like,
But you had
oh,
to have
wait,
Wicked.
Jeremit's in this shot, so
Yeah.
Jeremiah has to be on here. So
And the rest of the picture looks like the Hobbit
I mean,
kind of, yeah.
going to the mountain.
honestly,
Yeah,
it
I mean, I can see that.
feels very Hobbit-like. Like, if you ever seen the original Hobbit cartoon,
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
kind
I
of
know
feels
what you're
like
saying.
that.
Yeah.
Jeremiah
Have you
probably
seen the-
hasn't.
Have you
but-
seen the
I
original Ewoks
remember.
cartoon?
I remember seeing
Not yet.
the Hobbit cartoon movie when I was a little kid. But the only scene I remember is when the Hobbit is in the castle with the dragon and he sees the open spot on the chest. That's the only part I remember from that whole.
You don't remember
cartoon movie.
remember the trolls, the mountain trolls?
Or Gollum.
No,
Oh yeah, that's a special.
Gollum is very interesting looking.
He's special.
I used to have all those on VHS, and me and my brother used to watch them all the time.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Good job.
they're not bad. I
All
liked
right.
them.
Well, that's good. If anybody else liked those, let us know in the comments, or leave us a voicemail about The Hobbit. Who knows? Okay, where were we? Okay, so Chukka Trock earns Mace's respect. They continue their quest, but Deej stops to find Kank, the priestess, to whom he gives the crystal totem. Before she can join, however, they must pass the test. Okay, this was really weird. Kank hands Mace the crystal, which turns into a lizard in his hand. Mace storms off in frustration, but Sindel picks up the lizard, and it turns into a white mouse. She asks Kank for her help, and she agrees. They continue in their quest, now crossing vast fields. They reach a...
no longer a forest moon, but
No
whatever.
longer... Okay, we're going to find that Endor has a lot more than forests. on
Apparently,
it.
desert.
But anyways, so they reach like a meadow, and they reach a lake where Mace sees his reflection and becomes curious. He touches the water and is suddenly trapped below the surface. So it's like there's an invisible force field keeping him under the water. Sindel and Wicket are playing, but she suddenly realizes that Mace has disappeared. She calls for help, and the Ewoks run to help him. They first try a rope, and it too becomes trapped below the surface. And then they try a tree branch, which does the same. Sindel then tells Wicket to use his magic stick. This works, and Mace grabs a hold, and they pull him to safety. Back on dry land, Deej and Kank look at a map, while Weechie and Whittle play a game, and Wicket swings on a tree branch. It's literally swinging on a tree branch in the movie. Mace ushers the group to move on and puts Sindel in the compartment atop the horse. He then calls for Wicket, who lets go of the tree branch. This scares the horse, which runs away with Sindel on top. Chukka rides another horse after her. He gets alongside the horse and brings it to a stop. So, first of all, Mace is under the water a very long time.
Yeah, like,
Got, like,
he's panicking.
minutes.
So he's not like David Blaine, and he's like just calm and can hold his breath for 20
Yeah,
minutes.
he wasn't
underwater.
holding his breath effectively. He was panicking, and
At one point, we see his mouth wide open.
yeah,
too.
I mean, like,
He's
let's
like,
be real.
like, dude, you're dead.
I mean-
I don't-
He probably should have drowned. He was under there that long, because the
multiple
Ewoks, like,
times even. He could've-
Yeah, it's not like the Ewoks show up and they immediately begin trying stuff. They kind of go like, "Oh no," and they look at each other and then they say, "Oh no," and then it's like, "What are we gonna do?" And like the whole time he's flailing underwater and he can't get out.
Yeah.
So then they try the rope and it doesn't work, and then there's like this moment, a few seconds of like, "Oh, what do we do now?" And then someone brings the tree branch in, same thing, and then they're like, "What are we gonna do?" And then Sindel, who seems to be the brains of the operation, she's like, "Wicket, try your stick," and he puts it in the water and it works. It just
That was a good
happens to work.
Sindel. Your Sindel
Good
voice was pretty.
Oh,
It's pretty spot on.
thanks, Drew.
You're welcome.
I don't know if I like where this is going, but anyways, so they get him out, and he didn't die. I mean, that would have been kind of morbid.
That would have been awesome. I would have been so happy if he would have
Wow.
died right there.
That's the killing of a child that you would approve of in the Star Wars universe.
I would have. I mean,
Let's
You have-
remember that both of you are on
Yeah.
are on for the ride of killing younglings.
just want a rated R
me.
version of that scene. That's it.
No, we don't want a rated R version of this.
Some people don't.
Yeah.
Some people do.
Anyways, so that's the whole scene, and then I just love that like Sindel gets in the hut, the horse hut, and then Wicket dropping off the branch, and the branch slapping the rest of the tree scares that one horse and just takes off with Sindel, like full gallop, full send. He's just gone, and then Chuckatrock is like burning it behind this horse on another horse, on a mini horse. So like think about a bear on top of a mini horse going like 60 miles an hour through a forest trying to get another horse.
In his defense, he's a lot taller than the other Ewoks.
He is. He's like, he would be like the Ewok
like
equivalent of like
5'2". Like in
Oh.
real height, he's probably like 5'2".
in real height, he's probably like right at 5 feet.
Okay.
But like he would be the equivalent of like LeBron James or some
Yeah,
tall
yeah, yeah.
like athlete
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Or like well no, not Jeremiah.
What?
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 Am I taller than both of you?
I don't think so.
How
You're-
tall are you, Andrew?
5'11".
I'm 5'11" too.
And you're both
Who?
taller than me, so
Yeah, we
'cause-
knew that.
Okay,
You're the Wicked of the group.
I'll take
So
it.
anyways, okay.
I'm not mad.
So, let's keep going. Chuckatrock, Sindel, and the horses return to the rest of the group, and they continue their quest. That evening, they set up camp for the night in one tent. Sindel, Wicket, and Mace are almost asleep when a Wisty grabs Mace's attention. He follows it outside, and then an entire group of Wisties emerge from the ground. He calls for the others to come look. Wicket instantly recognizes them and alerts the other tents to look. A sleepy widow comes out but is not impressed. Sindel sets her candle on the ground, and all the Wisties gather around it. They all fly down into the flame of the candle, which transforms into Queen Isrena. Mace takes her into his hand, and he and Sindel speculates that Isrena is away from her family, like she, Mace, and Wicket are. The group continues their quest and camps again that night. Sindel complains of being hungry, but Mace refuses, not knowing how longer their quest will be. Wicket then offers some food. Mace brings out Isrena and offers her some of the food. She then flies around the tent to the joy of all the inhabitants. And they call her a giggle eater because she eats the laughter of the... It's really strange. This Isrena, this little character is like, think of like Tinkerbell.
It's Tinkerbell. It is.
It's essentially Tinkerbell.
And these are her Lost Boys.
Yeah, essentially. It did give you... It gives one very strong Peter Pan vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the scene where Sindel's like, my candle never burns out. And then for whatever reason, she uses the candle as a Pokeball. And then...
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
then now Mace is friends with Izinda or Isrinda or whatever her name is. And they have a new friend.
Don't they name her too?
Yeah. They name her Nelda, Isrena, or whatever. Sinfina, Nymphadora. I don't know.
Nymphadora. I like that one.
That's a Harry Potter reference.
I wouldn't know.
Oh, that's okay. You never read the books, seen the movies?
Nope.
Ah,
And
They're
you
good.
were hating on me not wanting to watch DC earlier.
That's different.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I'm pretty sure DC is bigger than Harry Potter.
DC stands for different category. Drew, come on.
oh, okay, that's fair.
So, anyways, yeah, it's a weird scene. There's a fairy, there's a candle, and some things happen, and it's just kind of weird. Moving on. Okay, So it's worth. Okay, actually, I was gonna say something, but this next little chunk covers it, so I'm just gonna read it. This next section is called the Forbidden Fortress. The next day, the group crosses the desert of Salma, where they finally reach the Forbidden Forest of the Gorax. Mace wonders aloud how they will enter the fortress. Kank suggests Mace's rock, but Mace tells her that he threw it away. Wicket has it, however, and gives it to Mace. Mace is skeptical and asks what to do with it. Kank motions for him to shake it, which makes Mace realize that there is something inside it. He throws it on the ground to reveal an arrowhead, which Kank motions for him to put on the ground. The arrowhead then magically points and moves towards the entrance of the fortress, which they discover is blocked by a giant. Huh?
It's pretty much a compass.
Yeah. The entrance of the cave is blocked by a giant boulder. Mace then uses his blaster to destroy the boulder and unblocks the cave entrance. They go inside, and Deej insists that the youngest members of the group, Wicket, Whittle, and Sindel, stay by the entrance. Mace tells Sindel to stay behind, and everyone exchanges hugs. So there's a desert on Endor.
Yep.
Yep. Apparently.
So that's it. Like, that's just the most noticeable thing is, like, they have to cross a desert. And last time I checked, it was called the Forest Moon of Endor.
Yeah. But with that, though, Wicket had the rock because your boy dropped the rock because he didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Cause...
So Wicket picked it up,
mm-hmm.
and in turn conveniently saved the whole story.
Yeah. Because of the compass.
Yeah. All right. This next section was my least favorite. It's called Fighting the Spiders. I don't like giant spiders. The rest of the group moves deeper into the fortress, where they eventually encounter a giant spider web stretched across a bottomless pit. Mace climbs onto the web and compares moving on it to, quote, climbing a ladder sideways. Suddenly, a spider attacks them. Mace stabs it with a knife, causing it to fall into the pit. The Ewoks follow him across. Meanwhile, back at the entrance, Wicket reassures and entertains Sindel. Deej is the last of the group to cross when he is also attacked by a giant spider. Mace pulls out his blaster, only to find it out of power. Deej tries to knock it away. Kank uses her magic wand to hypnotize the spider. Once Deej is safely across, Trock uses his axe to cut the spider web, which causes the spider to fall into the web pit. So, again, practical effects, animatronic, big, like, plastic spiders that have some moving parts to them. It's supposed to be, like, really spooky and scary, but it's just creepy. It's not really scary.
Yeah.
Rescue and family reunion. The group then finds themselves at the bottom of a giant staircase, where they are attacked by a third spider, which Wicket kills with a knife. They climb the steps to the top, where they find the Gorax's lair. Mace hears the Gorax and tells the others to run and hide with him. However, Weechie doesn't make it out in time and has to hide behind the Gorax's giant axe as the Gorax sits down at his table to eat off a bone. It gets up to look at its next meal, Jeremit and Katerin, who are hanging in a cage from the ceiling. Weechie accidentally knocks the axe over, which garners the Gorax's attention, and it comes after him. He runs to the rest of the group, who again run and hide. Mace wonders how they will reach their parents, and Chukatrock suggests they use the Gorax's axe as a lever. Mace stands on one end, at which point Jeremit and Katerin notice him. Chukatrock and Deej jump off a ledge onto the other end of the lever, which sends Mace flying up into the air, where he grabs a hold of the cage containing his parents. Mace throws down a rope and introduces Chukatrock as a friend as he climbs up. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing that's worth noting that we also hit.
The biggest flaw of the whole movie.
The biggest.
Literally the biggest plot hole and the biggest hole in the movie is this cage. So this cage has massive holes in it. Like, big enough that Mace just crawled into the cage. So his parents...
And it's like, what, 15 feet above the ground or something like that?
Yeah, it's like 15 feet above the ground. Like, they could have...
jumped out.
They could have landed on the ground without seriously injuring themselves.
Because I'm pretty sure it was sand on the ground. Ground. So, like, it wasn't, like, concrete that they were jumping on.
the holes in the cage bars. It's like a wooden cage, and the holes between the bars are big enough for a grown human being to get through comfortably.
Yeah.
So it's like the second the Gorax left, they could have just dropped and just skedaddled right out of there. You know, so that was interesting. Also, the Gorax is huge. He's like this giant monster, the size of like a small skyscraper, it seems. And they use the axe as a seesaw to catapult Mace into the air.
And yeah,
it doesn't get much more like kid story than that, really.
Right.
Yeah. You know, but then they're like, "Oh, Mace is here, yay!" And then like, for whatever reason, he drops a rope, and one of the Ewok Chukka-Trok like climbs up to meet them instead of them just climbing down.
doesn't make any sense
He
at
said
all.
he's coming up to help you guys. That's what he said, I think.
Like,
He's like,
go
"Oh,
down a rope.
This small bear is going to help two grown human beings that are like at least 1.5 feet, 2 feet taller than him." It's strange. It's very strange. But he's a warrior, so whatever. And then the next part of the story is the part of the story where they talk about the sponsor of today's episode, Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. So instead of reading that, I'm just going to play a recording to explain it all. So why don't you just take a quick listen to this word from our sponsor. Hey everyone, Andrew here. I'm pleased to tell you that the sponsor for today's episode is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. If you don't know anything about Wesley Andrews, you definitely should. They're an award-winning coffee roaster and shop
Is that
in Minneapolis,
hardcover?
Minnesota, and they make fantastic coffee. The awesome
Lucky.
thing is that they have a subscription service that gets those amazing coffee beans delivered to your door on an either weekly, bi-weekly, or a monthly basis. Unfortunately, we're all being negatively affected by this virus right now. With that being said, what a better time to try some new coffee and support a local business. I know they'll greatly appreciate it, and we will too. After all, using the code Empire Radio with a capital E and a capital R with no space at checkout, when you start a new subscription at wesleyandrews.cc, you'll get 50% off your first purchase. I can't think of a better deal. Get 50% off, support a local Minneapolis coffee shop, and support your favorite Star Wars podcast. In the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it.
Do it.
You know what to do. wesleyandrews.cc.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. We're coming to the climax of the story, the battle with the Gorax.
Ooh.
Which really isn't much of a battle, but whatever. All right. Mace climbs down first, but as soon as he reaches the bottom, the Gorax notices their activity. Weechi distracts it by hiding under a basket and moving across the floor. Like literally Metal Gear Solid style.
Yeah.
The Gorax smashes the basket, but finds nothing underneath. Weechi runs out from behind a corner, enraging the Gorax, while everyone continues climbing down from the cage, which is beginning to break. Weechi runs back to warn them, but the Gorax is on his trail. The cage breaks, and Chukka-Trok falls into the hands of Jeremit. So Jeremiah catches the Ewok.
Good job, Jeremiah. Proud of you.
Good job, Jeremiah.
Yep.
They run out of the Gorax's lair, but Chukka-Trok stays behind and repeatedly attacks the Gorax's foot with his axe. So that is a little generous. It's more like this small bear just like flailing his axe and just repeatedly just hitting
His
one of
toe.
his toe. Yeah, it's
Or
actually kind of
hoof.
sad.
Is it a hoof or
Yeah.
a toe?
I think it was a toe.
Oh,
I don't think he had hoofs. Maybe he did.
I don't remember.
I don't either. And by that point in the movie, I was just like, all right,
The
we're doing it.
putting more people in the cage to get people out of the cage
Yeah, it takes you out of it.
bothered me a lot.
Yeah. So Mace is yelling for him to come on, Isrina lights up in his pocket. Mace unleashes Isrina on the Gorax, which disorients it while Chukka-Trok continues his attacks. In a rage, the Gorax strikes the walls of his fortress, which causes rocks to crumble and fall on Chukka-Trok. Mace runs to him but realizes that Chukka-Trok is dying. Before he dies, Chukka-Trok gives Mace his axe. So I didn't think this was going to happen, but one of the characters actually dies. which is kind of sad. The Gorax chases the survivors down the giant steps, but they use a pulled tight rope to trip him. So literally, they do the same thing to the Gorax that they did to the ATST on Endor with the rope.
Which, I mean, in their defense, it could be the way that they figured out how to do that to them.
That's true. It was a nice little nod to the fact that they took down an Imperial walker that way. So they do the thing with the rope. Kank then uses her magic wand to cause a stalactite to fall on his head. Okay, so that thing, by the way, like nails him in the temple. Like this isn't like, oh, it hit him in the head. Like no, like this sharp rock hits him in the temple.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to kill him, but it doesn't right away.
Spoiler.
Yeah. Katerin then uses Mace's blaster, which I guess magically has power now, to shoot the Gorax in the chest, which causes him to fall off the ledge and into the pit. Mace shows Deej Chukka Trock's axe and explains his sacrifice to them. Sindel, Wicket, and Whittle appear on the other side of the chasm, but at that moment, the Gorax emerges from the pit and moves towards them. Mace throws Chukka Trock's axe at the Gorax's back, which causes him to fall back into the pit. The group then swing across the chasm using a remaining part of the spider web as a rope. Once they are safely on the other side, the family embraces, happy to be back together and out of danger. They then head for home, with Mace suggesting that Izrina will help guide the way. Later on, back at the Ewok village, Mace says goodbye to Izrina, and the Tawani and Warwick families hold a celebration. That's it.
That's it.
So, first of all, not only does an Ewok die, but the Gorax gets stabbed in the side of the... It doesn't really stab him, but he gets nailed in the temple with a stalactite, which doesn't kill him. But then Mace throws his axe, Chukka Trock's axe, in paying homage to the axe throwing competition that they had before, and literally nails the Gorax in the middle of the back, like stabs him with it, and then he falls. Kind of gruesome for a kid's movie, but there's not like blood or anything. So
Yeah.
Anyways, that's the story. That's why it's a caravan of courage, because
It takes courage to throw the axe.
it takes courage to do everything they did, especially because it was 2 kids and some bears.
True.
Which could be like a
s-
band name.
I was going to say,
Question mark?
a
2
good
kids
ska
and some
band.
bears? Yeah, I guess.
Why you hate on ska? Ska's
I
cool.
No, like I don't hate music. I respect the artistry that goes into it. I just don't like ska.
Well,
Anyways,
all right.
so that's the story. That's the story of Caravan of Courage and Ewok Adventure. It is speculated, though never seen in this movie, that the family just lives on Endor now with the Ewoks because their spaceship is broken. We know that there's a sequel to this movie and that all of the characters are in it, or at least
Even
most of them, I
Jermit?
believe. I don't know if Jermit is. I know Mace and Sindel are.
Well, yeah.
for sure, and they're still on Endor. So like, I don't think they go anywhere. Considering the next one is, I think, called the battle for Endor or something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't think they end up actually leaving the planet. So, but everything ends happily, and
They're all in the hut
yeah, they're just
at the end,
partying. Yep.
chilling, laughing,
Yep.
the giggles.
I don't want to relive that. So that's the Ewok story. If you're if you're into like feel good kids movies that happen to be Star Wars, this is right up your alley. It is a little cheesy. I think we collectively decided that it was better than the holiday special, though. I
Yes.
think the holiday special, in its
Right.
terrible quality, is more entertaining for me personally than this was.
Because it's so terrible.
Yeah. I have more to laugh at in that one, where this is just like kind of your stereotypical like adventure story. It's very predictable. It's like, oh no, we have to go pick up friends to help, and then they convince them to help, and then they go and they fight the monster, and then they win, and everything ends happily ever after.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're not done with the Ewok content.
We're
Just
not.
know that we're gonna be doing the Battle for Endor.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that. That's coming next week? Question mark.
Probably.
Yep.
Hopefully.
And then we're probably going to do at least an episode or two of the Ewoks animated series that got released for Disney Plus. If you haven't seen the Star Wars special, the holiday special, and you want to watch the best part of the holiday special, the cartoon from the holiday special, which is the first ever canonical appearance of Boba Fett.
You say Babu
Ever.
Frick?
Boba Fett. Is on Disney Plus as well. It's like a 9-minute cartoon short, and it's really funny for a number of reasons. But yeah, so this is all part of that like recent chunk of like Star Wars content that was put on Disney Plus, which happened
Star
to
Wars
include
Vintage, I believe they.
Yeah,
it happened to include the 2003 to 2005 Clone Wars series, which we just covered.
Yeah, before they did this. So
that's convenient. If you don't want to go on YouTube and watch it for free, you can pay to watch it on Disney Plus.
is it still on YouTube or did it get pulled?
I bet it's still on YouTube.
Yeah. If they
It's
weren't going to pull it
probably-
before, they're not going to pull it now.
Yeah, they're not going to pull it now.
True.
So, anyways.
Because that was going to be my next question, Andrew. Now that like they took that one spot for the holiday special, is the entire holiday special pulled from YouTube now? Or is it going to be harder for us to find? Because
I don't know.
every
Well, it
year
doesn't
we
matter
have to go
'cause
over.
I don't want to watch it again. So.
Well,
Oh, no, we're watching it every year.
Yeah, it's a
You guys are?
tradition.
Oh, that's fun.
It's a tradition.
It's a tradition now.
Your guys' tradition? Okay.
Jeremiah,
Yeah.
it's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. If for as much as you talk bad about the expanded universe, you owe it to the fans
You owe it to us.
to watch the Christmas special at least once a year.
So it's
Yes.
EU.
No, because it's a valuable part of Star Wars.
Because it's fun to
Gosh.
sit back, relax, drink some coffee from Wesley Andrews, and just
and listen to Lumpy
do
yell
yeah,
for an hour.
do some lumps.
All right. So that's Caravan of Courage and Ewok story. You know, if you got time, go give it a watch. Let us know what you think on Discord or social media, or leave us a voicemail. Tell us which of the Ewoks in the Wicket or the Warwick family was your favorite. If you want to consider naming your next child Deej, I'd be okay with that.
Or Jeremit.
Or Jeremit, in honor of Jeremiah and his now canon doppelganger.
Yep.
Yeah. So let us
Or
know what you
Mace.
think.
Mace would be a cool name.
Yeah.
Just don't name it after him though. Name it after Mace Windu though. 'Cause-
So yeah, that's the first Ewok movie, and we're gonna be covering the next one next week,
Yes.
which has a very hilarious looking villain in it. I don't know if you guys have seen
I have
the
not.
cover, like the movie poster for that. He's on the movie
Nope.
poster.
Oh.
Anyways, it's worth looking at. But yeah. Anything else? Anything else you guys want to add about this lovely experience?
Nope. No. Jeremiah's been really quiet this entire episode, but
I think it's because he's been trying to process the overwhelming wealth of feelings he has for this movie.
of being
Yep.
named.
Yeah, he did say after we stopped recording the commentary when it was over, he said it was his favorite Star Wars piece of Star Wars media of all time.
That's not true.
There's
So-
nothing trash about this.
His new favorite character is now no longer Ahsoka.
It's Jeremit.
It's Sindel.
Oh, Sindel.
Yeah.
She ascends over Ahsoka.
Okay. All right. Well, guess what, everyone? You have been listening to another episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew,
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
and may the Force be with you.
Always.